You have something to look at. Afternoon, welcome to the Video Testimony Project. What's your name?
My name is Tanner Eddy,
Hey Tanner, where are you from?
Gettysburg, South Dakota.
Gettysburg, awesome. So we want to just give glory to God with testimonies and what He's doing in our lives. Tell us what God's been doing in your life, how He's changed you, what's going on.
So I started out life as a cradle Catholic, so just being brought up, like going to church every week and not, but like family doing meal prayer, but like there was nothing really devout or deep that went on in my life, like growing up in childhood. And growing up in school, I just really didn't have a lot of friends, and I always thought there was just something wrong with me. And I just always didn't feel loved by any of my classmates, my peers. Um, in middle school, I just really just didn't feel like I was like loved by my parents. Like I knew on some level that they did love me, but I just kind of felt like they didn't understand me and loved me on deeply. And um, in middle school, going into seventh grade, I went to a church cat camp, bringing this to Eucharistic adoration. And I just laid it all in front of God and just saying, what do I have to do to be loved, God? Like I just don't feel loved by anyone. Like what do I have to do to be even loved by you, Lord? And then I was praying this with my eyes closed, and I just clearly heard God say, like I prayed, like physically heard the words out loud, Tanner, open your eyes. And I saw the words in plain white lettering. Like it just brings me so much joy to just like see it again. Word, words were always be yourself. And like at that moment, I just knew I was already loved by the Lord. Like I didn't need to hear judgment. I didn't by anyone else. I didn't need to earn someone else's love. I didn't need to be perfect. And that just struck me deep down in my core. Like I just started bawling and crying after that. And just leaving that camp, I just knew I was loved by God. Like the things of this world just even if I don't feel loved by anyone else, I still have God holding on to me and hugging me. And after that, fell, years after that, I fell into deep, deep sins of lust, and I'm supposed to say them out, but very grave sins of lust, I, and I'm part of the Catholic Church, and so in the Catholic faith, like, we have confession. And I was always just so afraid to say those sins in confession. But one time I mustered up the courage, God gave me the courage to confess those sins in confession. And I had, like, the priest, like, he just showed me how much God loves me. Like that God didn't care that I was struggling with these sins. Like, the shame, it didn't matter because I was loved by God. I was sought after. And I went to confession time and time again, falling back into sins, but always asking for God's mercy. Like I understood God's mercy on a new level. Like His mercy was just an ocean, and like I had nothing to be ashamed. Like I was wanted. And about a year ago, I was bringing these sins to in adoration, and I went to confession, and after like I had confessed that sins that had already been forgiven in past confessions, like they'd already been forgiven by God. I just hadn't accepted the forgiveness myself in my heart. And like confession, the priest just said, Tanner, when are you going to accept you can't earn God's love? Just let God hold you. Stop trying to like you can't there's different ways like when you hug someone, he said like there's different ways for you to receive a hug. Like you can try to hug him back or you can just let him hug you and just Tanner, just let God love you. Let him hug you. You don't have to try to hug him back. Just let him hold you. leaving that confessional, I walked in front of the Eucharist, and I just saw plainly in the Eucharist, like the Eucharist is like a- after the words like "This is my body." When Jesus says that, like we believe that is God's body, and like in the Eucharist, I clearly saw a human's eye in the Eucharist, and I was mind blown, and I just know like God saw me. I was known. I was wanted, and
Hey,
I just like felt so much interior peace. I was in ecstasy with God right there, and like the love was just overwhelming from the Father, and I could just see plainly that God saw me. Like He physically just showed me like this was going on for like half hour, 45 minutes. Like I could see the outline of the eye, I could see the iris, I could see the pupil, and it was just so visible. Me being a doubter all the time and skeptic, moving my head, just making sure it's not something in the light. Like I moved from the pew to the ground. It's like this is really like real, and like God just like showed me like He is real, He's present, and I am known. And it's just love is overwhelming.
and Tanner, thank you for sharing your story with us. It's awesome. It's cool to see how God, will take you from a place of loneliness and despair to knowing that you're loved and cared for. Thank you for sharing with us today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man. God bless you.